On February 11th, 1981, one of the greatest slashers of all time, My Bloody Valentine, hit theaters. Now, I'm not here to break it down scene by scene or hit you with a full-on review. You've probably seen 100 takes on this movie already. But for me, this is more than just another slasher. This movie is a piece of my horror DNA. And let's be real, My Bloody Valentine is outstanding. Top tier. A slasher masterpiece. I love everything about it. The atmosphere, the kills, the mystery, the grimy, small-town setting. It's got that raw, unfiltered 80s horror magic that so many movies try, and fail, to recreate. I honestly don't know where I'd be as a horror fan without it. The first 3 slashers I ever watched? Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, Halloween, 1978, and My Bloody Valentine, 1981. And if we're getting technical, My Bloody Valentine was the first underrated slasher I ever saw. So yeah, it means the world to me. It was my gateway into a whole underground world of hidden gem horror. You know, the ones that didn't get 10 sequels, the ones that didn't get their due when they first dropped, the ones that feel like secret treasures. That's what this movie is to me. Is it a great slasher? No question. But more than that, it set me on a path of discovering all the horror movies that flew under the radar. It's got everything I want in a slasher. A compelling mystery, memorable characters, a ridiculously good third act, and some of the best kills in the genre. The practical effects? Insane. It's easily a top 5 slasher of all time for me, and I'll stand by that forever. Then, in 2009, they dropped the remake. And, yeah, not my thing. I watched it once back in the day, and it just didn't have the same vibe. It felt too polished, too modern, too disconnected from what made the original special. Maybe one day I'll revisit it, but right now, I'm good. And speaking of remakes, there was a rumor floating around that Blumhouse was considering rebooting My Bloody Valentine. If that ever happens, yeah, I already know they're gonna mess it up. No question. The way they handled Halloween still makes my blood boil. I do not want to see them touch this classic. Just leave it alone. Now, this year, a new horror movie called Hard Eyes dropped, and while I mainly stick to slashers from the 70s, 80s, and sometimes 90s, 2000s, I can already tell it's inspired by My Bloody Valentine. I haven't watched it yet, but I plan to on Valentine's Day. I've been watching this movie since I was 5 years old. Should a 5-year-old be watching My Bloody Valentine? Probably not. But I did. And I loved it then, and I love it now. That's never gonna change. So here's to 44 years of one of the greatest slashers ever made. My Bloody Valentine, you'll always be a legend.